Yo pondría la
Y darle
música de
streamear.
fondo y eso de escondo el logo, esto lo pongo aquí. ¡Hala! ¡Robado!
Este nuevo nivel de sigilos.
So I know one thing that we do want to talk about as well that we had mentioned on social, and this is just a quick mention from us and a quick update from us, and it is around itemization. So,
Bien, se ha dicho en las redes algo de itemización. Vamos a ver qué
we all
cuenta.
have, well, I'm not zipped up.
¿Podría salir Bacher ahí? Hostia, estaría guapísimo.
There we go.
Thanks an extra hand model.
But yeah, we do have these really fancy little shirts here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know you guys even remember the cue.
I remember.
Yeah, look at this. Yeah.
It's this is a playoff
There you
of
go.
Adam Jackson. He made this wonderful saying before. Damage on Tuesdays.
Damage on Tuesdays.
And yeah,
It felt appropriate for discussing
we
itemization.
felt like this was an appropriate time to show off
We were like,
these
we're gonna take.
jackets
Well, what we'll do is
Esa
we'll
sudadera
take
tengo yo,
the
es
jackets
guapísima,
off
esa
while
chaqueta.
Rich is playing. We won't forget to do that.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
well, we were supposed to do that.
We were
Yeah.
supposed to do that to have this be like a
That
better
would've been
bit.
So
plan.
instead,
That would've been a
everyone just got
funnier
to watch us awkwardly take off.
La gracia de la
hoodies and
votación es que
jackets.
con
So,
superarlo 5 o 6 veces te
but
pone
yeah, I
todos
think
los
the people
sigilos a
loved
nivel
it,
21
obviously.
Yes,
y te da
and
un
I do
power
want
clip de la
to
hostia.
give a shout out to Ricky on our art team.
Richie,
Richie on our art team, who actually ended up making these amazing Damage
Yeah,
on
I love
Tuesday
the graphic
shirts.
design on this.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
it's
cool.
really
Little rogue shooting through Tuesday.
Yeah.
But itemization, I know we wanted to talk really quickly about that, and Joe.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot to talk about. At BlizzCon, Mr. Shelley himself got a chance to kind of talk about a few things that we've got coming. We have going on. We talked about some of the problems that we see with itemization out there today. You know, I think just to kind of reiterate some of those points, as players are going through the experience, you know, it's challenging the amount of mental bandwidth you have to use to process all of the items that you're collecting. It's difficult to find upgrades because there's a really low chance for you to get like a perfect rare roll. And generally in ARPGs, it's okay for it to be a low chance for the roll to be perfect, but there's such a high degree of variability in items right now as they stand, where it's like usually it's like, okay, well, this item is 80% of what I want it to be, and that can feel okay to find that pretty regularly, but that could be kind of hard to find right now in Diablo 4, right? And feels almost virtually impossible. You can go through 200 pairs of gloves and not find a perfect pair of gloves, you know, for your class. You know, there's a lot of things that contribute to this. You know, there's the number of different affixes that we have. There is the fact that we don't have a lot of things in place that say like you can't have like multiple skill ranks, you know, on an item. Like right now, we allow you to have like, you know, 3 different plus core skill ranks on an item occasionally, and that doesn't really serve anybody. So one of the things we want to think about a lot as we're looking towards 2024, because like we're, you know, it's December, we're looking back at, you know, a year of talking together.
Está hablando porque tenemos
you know,
serios
trying to
problemas con la
paint a picture of what we
itemización.
want moving forward
Actualmente
for
cuando
us.
queda un ítem
You know, we
o
want to
10
think
ítems o
more
50
like we
ítems
have
es un
plans
coñazo
for,
tener que mirarlos, revisarlos,
solving these kinds
compararlos.
of problems.
Es muy problemático cómo está la
We
itemización ahora
also
mismo.
see that there's not enough like runway with items either. Like there's a lot more they could be doing for the player when they drop for players. So one of the things we want to think about more as we get into 2024 is having items really be kind of like the start of a journey. So when something drops for you as a player, we want that to be like cool. You want to be able to get this and say, this is awesome. I can't wait to do X, Y, and Z to this and make it like really, really great, right? Like this is the perfect thing that I need for my build. And to feel that you've got more chances like to modify and customize that and really incorporate that into what you want for your particular playstyle. That's important for like player expression, for build making. It does a lot for just making the game more exciting versus like every single time you're looking for an upgrade, it's only whatever immediately drops in the ground, and I kind of have to make a decision based on that. We want to go a lot further than that, I think, in the future for players. Now, you know, these are the sorts of things I'm talking about are pretty big, right? Like in season 2, we made changes to the resistance system. We made changes like, you know, vulnerable damage being multiplied, making that
Esos son dos, han hecho cambios al crítico, al vulnerable, a las resistencias. Tienen como muchos frentes abiertos y mucho trabajo que están haciendo. Y lo que están queriendo hacer es un cambio demasiado grande. Entonces,
the reason why we did so much of it at once was because many of these things were very interconnected.
y la putada es que todas estas interacciones están muy
improve these systems
interconectadas.
by doing like one small portion of it can actually make everything worse. Because this is now like almost like a little island of a different idea. It's floating out and not integrated properly into everything else in the game, right? So as we think about the sorts of itemization changes we're looking to make, the reward changes we want to make things more exciting for players to chase, and really, again, if Diablo is a game about killing monsters and getting loot, then killing monsters feels pretty good right now. I think that getting loot has places where we can make improvements. We need to make sure that's holding up its end of the bargain, right? But to make this, the sorts of changes that we're talking about, there's basically a number of other things that are going to need to be adjusted at the same time. So we have plans for a really, really big update for itemization that we want to be able to produce. It's not coming in Season 3, we're looking at Season 4, where we want to be able to target a lot
no
of
para la
these
Season
changes
3,
that come out
para
en mass.
abril, en la Season
So,
4
in
tienen que
Season
hacer un
3,
cambio
we're not
muy
talking
gordo en la
about
itemización
Season 3
para
today.
que dejemos
No,
de
but
tener
there's,
este problema de que
there's
todo lo que te
still
cae lo
cool
tienes
stuff
que,
coming
te tienes
up.
que sentar,
We'll
ponerte a
talk-
mirar
we'll
todos los
talk-
ítems,
yeah, sure. We're about
etc.
to
Entonces
talk
dentro de
a tiny
unos
bit about Season 3.
5 o 6 meses quiero hacer un cambio muy gordo de
There's still lots of
itemización.
great feedback that we're getting from players about their experience playing in Season 3 right now.
Yeah. Season 2, yeah.
Yeah, well, sorry, yes. Feedback from Season 2 that we want to be able to try to to incorporate into Season 3.
Yeah, well, and one of the things that we've seen with Season 2, right, is this was you were talking about how we made a lot of changes to itemization. We made a lot of changes to builds.
Yeah.
There were some things that got less powerful, but we really sort of I think we did a great job delivering on some of the stuff we talked about back in Season 1 in terms of making, when we make changes to stats or classes or itemization, that we make sure that we're adding lots of new cool stuff. And I think we plan to continue to do that with Season 3, right? So, I think we've talked. I've said on social, like, hey, we're not gonna nerf your builds here throughout Season 2. We were just playing Ball Lightning, right?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Just live here, and we think that's really important because we built Abattoir of Zir based on the balance of the game as it stands in Season 2. But then as you get into Season 2, you can Season 3. No one's going to say any of the right season numbers today. But as you get into Season 3, you can expect to see some of those balance changes, kind of like what we saw in Season 2, right?
That's right. So we'll change along those lines. We'll be able to talk about those as we get a little bit closer to the Season 3 release date. And there's a bunch of other changes we're making in Season.
Well, there's the one thing about, I know you were talking about with itemization. We're prepping a lot of changes, and we've actually we have talked to at least a group of Diablo partners, content creators already about some of the itemization changes that are going to be coming in Season 4.
That's right.
So they have actually. There are people aware of some of the details and changes that we're actually offering. So, and we're doing that mostly for we wanted to get some feedback from and bounce like some ideas that we actually had. So we're really looking forward to actually going through all of that and making sure and refining it a little bit before we actually put it out in front of everyone. And so there will be more news about itemization as we go through Season 3 and into Season 4, obviously with the big changes that are going to be coming. But we have been actually talking with a select group of people, with our Diablo partners, our content creators, specifically on that. So, and I wanted to make sure
Hace casi una hora que empezó.
within like a box or something like that from that end.
Yeah, like Joe said at BlizzCon, like if end-game content is one of our highest priorities, itemization is our highest priority, right? Like we're actively working on these things. It's just
tiene un equipo entero trabajando en la itemización, es su prioridad, y el in-game comment es su prioridad. Con lo cual esas dos cosas, si consiguen que trabajen juntas y estén bien hechas. Y el problema de la itemización es que saben que hay un problema, pero cambiarla requiere demasiados cambios a demasiadas interacciones. Entonces es una cosa que va a tardar 5 meses. No hay drops para Diablo 4.
And talk about like the sorts of things that players are having some difficulties with right now. There's a couple things that got brought up. First is Forgotten Souls.
Yes.
Yeah, it's obviously we see that players are having a tougher time getting Forgotten Souls in Diablo 4 and Season 2, relative to other points in time.